Hello YouTube, this is EcBoy, and I'm just doing a video today on fear in the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, like how it affects the way we play, rationally and irrationally, and just what you can do to catch yourself if you think that you're subconsciously going astray over a redundant fear, or not being afraid of something enough when you should be. Yeah, I think that the most obvious form of fear and how we adapt our play because of that fear, like when this card was around, Heavy Storm, I know that for new players they may not grasp this point quite that well, because they wouldn't have played in a meta game with Heavy Storm, but like for years, literally for years, people would set one back row and avoid setting two because of Heavy Storm. And if you think about fear on its own is just a survival mechanism. Like if you're going to go swimming in a lake and someone said, well, someone who you would believe told you that there was a 0.01% chance that you would die from swimming in that river, you would naturally be more inclined to avoid swimming in that river because you wouldn't want to run the risk of being killed, and that's just survival instinct. And no, you're not gonna die from playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's sort of the same thing applied to that. You don't want to lose, and the same survival instincts, although to a much lower scale, they play a part in that. So if you think about when this card was around, it was pretty much always limited. Everyone would set one back row and not set two, because if the opponent dropped their Heavy Storm, they would be punished. Back row overextension. But I mean, if you think about it, say you go to a large scale tournament, you will play like 9 rounds on day one, nine matches, and that's anywhere from 18 to 27 games. The chances of Heavy Storm being in their hand every single game is less than the example of swimming in a river. The chances of dying from that, but every game set one back row, and that's just because of fear. You fear Heavy Storm, and you think, oh, if I set two back row, then this will be the game that they have Heavy Storm. And maybe if you set one back row and you get MST'd, and then the next time you set two, they might top into Heavy Storm, and you're afraid of that as well. And yeah, that's sort of irrational fear. That is an example of irrational fear, because think about the probability of drawing into Heavy Storm. You have no way of searching it. It's very low, but it's still the correct play to try not to overextend your back row, because if you do, you'll get punished. And the only way that you would be able to alleviate that is if you had protection for your back row. So like, I remember when Starlight Road came out, people would main 2. That was pretty much the standard, to main 2 Starlight Road to stop one card. And if you think about that, that's not all that smart, because Starlight Road will be dead at every other time. And most games, they won't even draw into Heavy Storm, so your Starlight Road will just be sitting there. But it stopped this, and you would rather waste 2 spaces in your deck and be able to stop this than have this wreck you. And yeah, that's just another example of irrational fear in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's still the correct play, because you would rather that than they drop this. And I think that really, to combat things such as fear, one of the reasons why Heavy Storm was so fearful was because it was universally played. Everyone played Heavy Storm. There was no one who didn't, and if they didn't, then they're just an idiot, because it's such an outstanding card. And really have to think, what are the most common threats? Look at your hand. If it loses out to a certain card, you have to think about how mainstream that card is, and what are the chances that you'll see it. Like, going a little old school, I remember when this was at 3, Solemn Judgment. I was relatively new to the game then, but the fear that they had a Solemn Warning face down, Solemn Judgment face down, was so extraordinary. The formats, the first format I played, it was basically just Solemn battles. I Solemn, you're Solemn, or I Solemn, you're Heavy Storm. That was basically how it went, and Solemn eventually got put to 1, but yeah, that was relatively rational because everyone was playing 3. So to think, do they have Solemn Judgment face down? They haven't got any in their grave. It's very probable that they do. That is a rational fear. It is rational fear because the chances of them having it is relatively high. But you know, like, whoops, that's for a bit later. Mirror Force, the fear of attacking into a Mirror Force. That's not so much a thing now because a lot of people will play stuff like Stardust and Legendary 6 Samurai Shien to combat those sorts of things. But I remember when the fear of them having a Mirror Force face down was so widespread, and that's sort of irrational if you think about it, but then again, you have to try and make sure that you've covered all of your outs. So yeah, just take a deep breath, think about, do you think that they're running the card first? Secondly, how probable is it that they have it, considering like its ban list status and everything else? Like, yeah, this is where bottomless comes in. Fearing bottomless now, I don't, that may not be like the wisest thing, because not many people play bottomless now, and even when they do, it's only going to be the one copy. The thing that you would fear more is probably this, Solemn Warning, because everyone plays Solemn Warning basically now. So yeah, you just have to think about those sorts of things. If you think, okay, I can make play A and play A loses to Solemn Warning, but or I can make play B and play B loses to Bottomless. I don't actually know a scenario that would go like that, but hypothetically speaking, you would be more inclined to go for the play that loses to Bottomless, because not many people play Bottomless and more people play Solemn Warning. And yeah, that's it for the video. Hope that maybe enlightened a couple of people. Yeah, I'll be doing more videos in the near future. This was EcBoy, and hope you enjoyed yourselves.